And the main points of the news this evening. The biggest airlift so far of Irish aid has left for Ethiopia. It comprises 15 tonnes of medical equipment, 2 tonnes of food and generators and clothing. The Taoiseach has withdrawn as a sponsor of the Irish anti-apartheid movement because Sinn Féin is affiliated to it. And Nicaragua has been placed on full alert because of American military movements in the area.
And coming to camera 2, we're on 2.
And just before you say your final goodnight, Charles, on this your very last television bulletin, we thought we'd have a look back at your life and times. Now, I know you thought we were putting this out next week, but we're being sneaky, and here it is now. In the year of our Lord, 1919, in this unpretentious little abode, Montpelier Manor, nestling in the solitude of Monkstown, County Dublin, was born, in the early hours of November the 8th, a boy child, Charles Gerald Anthony. Charlie, as he was known, was one of 4 children born to Netta Mitchell and her husband Albert, managing director of Alexander Mitchell and Company, makers of combs and rosary beads since 1825. The earliest recorded ambition of the young Charles was to be a professional singer. However, at Clongowes Wood College, his vocal cords were exercised in the grasping of Greek and Latin, rather than the notation of Verdi. Decidedly not a chip off the old block, Charles studied forestry at Trinity College, where a stint with the Trinity Players whetted his appetite for the theatre. 2 years in his father's firm, and he was off to tread the boards as a professional actor in a fit-up company. Actually, he dusted and swept up more than he treaded and uttered. At the end of the Second World War, he joined Ian Priestley Mitchell's company, and then Lord Longford's at the Gate Theatre for a further 12 years, during which time he toured Europe with Siobhan McKenna in the play St. Joan. On the death of Lord Longford, the fortunes of the aspiring Charles Mitchell took a tumble, as did his income, a drop of 75% in his salary to just 10 shillings a week. Meanwhile, however, Cupid had smiled, aimed and fired, a bull's-eye, and the smitten Charles Mitchell walked from the altar with the lovely Betty Stubbs of Ballyshannon. In time, a daughter, Susan, and a son, Nicholas. Then came RTE Television, or simply Telefís Éireann, as was then known, and Charles Gerald Anthony was appointed its first newsreader. He was, as they say, an overnight success, respected, admired, and greatly liked. The first television star to have his own fan club, and the first to be remodelled, so to speak, in a broadcast museum.
The television service, Telefís Éireann, was inaugurated this evening at 7 o'clock by An Tuachtarán Éamon de Valera. The country continues to be held in an Arctic grip.
Recognition came in the form of a Jacobs Award.
This is the nicest bit of news I've ever.
And the National Association for the Deaf Clearest Speaker Award. But behind the television image, the other side of Charles Mitchell, very committed to animal welfare, and as such, a member of the National Executive of the Irish Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. He and Betty, both internationally recognised judges of pedigree dogs, breed Basset hounds, although the family pet is a golden Labrador. But always the commitment to broadcasting. It was always Charles Mitchell who volunteered to read the main bulletin every Christmas night when his colleagues were at home with their families, and Charles Mitchell who would be called from his bed to announce matters of international importance, the deaths of popes and presidents, the beginnings and sometimes the endings of brutal conflicts in every part of the world. For those with an interest in statistics, Charles has, at a very conservative calculation, read a total of 2,340 hours of bulletins since 1961, comprising 25,272,000 words, not including tonight's bulletin, his last.
Tonight, for Charles Mitchell and for all of us in RTE, it is a moment of great sadness, but also of pride in the memory of so much achieved. We believe this is a national occasion too, a news item of significance when a loved and respected gentleman leaves the stage which he has graced for so long to the benefit of us all.
Well, so much for the big chief, but what about some of his fellow workmates, present and past?
What? Charles Mitchell. Yeah, great actor. Yeah.
No, I've got to say sincerely that I owe a great deal to Charles. He taught me everything I know about dancing.
Charles Mitchell, great singer, great singer.
Charles Mitchell. Well, I remember, I suppose, the opening night of Irish television. while all about him were losing their heads and blaming it on each other, he was the one shining, sterling rock around which all the waves and all the disasters crashed. But of course, Charles became the very first RTE television star and has gone on being a star, and indeed even mastered the Irish over the last 300 years. It's been a great pleasure to have worked with Charles, and it's been a great pleasure to know you. And I'm sorry you're retiring, but then they fired me as well. Good luck in your retirement, Charles. Everybody's going to miss you.
Well. Thank you. That's that. And before the weather forecast, I'd like to thank you for all the cards and all the good wishes and all the news that we have shared for so long. Many thanks, goodbye, and God bless.
Sing for the good times and cry for the sad. But just remember, I want you to remember. But just remember all the good times we had. Why don't you sing for the good times and cry for the sad?